Ornith 1.5 is out, and it's a family of 3 open-weight models, 9 billion dense, 35 billion mixture of experts, and a 397 billion mixture of experts flagship. Every checkpoint ships under MIT, including the quantized builds, so commercial use is unrestricted and there are no regional carve-outs. The flagship scores 86.1 on Terminal Bench 2.1 against Claude Opus 4.8 at 85, and 86 on SWE Bench verified against Opus at 85.8. An open model matching a closed frontier model on terminal coding work is the headline. But the mechanics underneath are the more useful part. Ornith 1.0 came out on June 25th with 4 sizes instead of 3, 9 billion dense, 31 billion dense, 35 billion MOE, and the 397 billion flagship. That version sat on 2 different foundations. Most of the family was post-trained on Qwen 3.5, and the 31 billion dense variant was built on Google's Gemma 4. So Gemma 4 was a real part of the Ornith lineage, and coverage from June named it as a base model everywhere you looked. Gemma 4 is not a base model in 1.5, and that shift is worth sitting with. The Hugging Face tags on all 3 new checkpoints read Qwen 3_5. People digging into the release confirmed the flagship is derived from Qwen 3.5-397B-A17B through post-training, which is exactly why the parameter counts match to the digit. The Gemma 4 dense branch got quietly cut between versions, and Gemma 4 now appears only as a comparison bar in the charts, sitting there as the model Ornith measures itself against, rather than the one it's built from. Looking at those charts makes the decision obvious. The 35 billion MOE activates only about 3 billion parameters per token, so it's cheap and fast to run, and it posts 68.5 on Terminal Bench against Gemma 4-31B's 42.1. On SWE Bench verified, it's 79 against 52. The 9 billion dense model also clears Gemma 4-31B on several rows despite being roughly a third the size. When your sparse model runs faster and scores 26 points higher on Agentic coding, a dense 31 billion variant stops earning its slot in the lineup. Self-improving is the phrase attached to this release, and it does not mean the weights change while you use it. Nothing updates at inference. The loop lives entirely inside training. Ornith 1.0 already learned to write its own scaffold, meaning the harness, the tool setup, the way a task gets decomposed into steps, instead of inheriting a human-designed. Version 1.5 pushes that one step further back, so the model also proposes the training tasks themselves. Each training cycle runs 3 stages that feed each other. The system looks at an environment or a code base, plus a record of what it has already solved, and proposes a harder task that goes past that boundary. It then builds a task-specific scaffold for that problem. Then it produces solution attempts under that scaffold. Reward from those attempts flows back through all 3 stages using GRPO, so the model learns to write better answers, better harnesses, and better training problems at the same time. That's what closes the loop. Task rewards use 3 signals multiplied together, and the multiplication matters. Validity asks whether the generated task and harnessed form a working environment where good solutions pass and bad ones fail. Frontier difficulty targets a success rate near 20%, which puts tasks right at the edge of current ability, hard enough to teach something, but easy enough to produce a few successes to learn from. Novelty compares against a buffer of earlier tasks so the generator doesn't keep reskinning the same problem. Fail any one and the whole reward zeroes out, so a malformed task that merely looks difficult earns nothing. Letting a model author both the test and the answer is the obvious failure mode here, and they address it head-on. The harness gets its own separate reward with a hack resistance term built in, alongside task alignment and reward fidelity. They also carried over a 3-layer defense from earlier work, a fixed trust boundary around the sandbox, a deterministic monitor watching for attempts to modify verification or reach protected paths, and a frozen judge model that overrides the verifier when it catches gaming. On evaluation, they strip Git history from repo images and cut network access so nothing can look up a known patch. Deep SWE is the score I'd actually point at, not Terminal Bench. Ornith 1.0's flagship scored 8 on that benchmark. Ornith 1.5 scores 56. A jump like that isn't a tuning pass or better prompting, and it's the strongest signal in the whole table that the method changed something real. Terminal bench moved from 77.5 to 86.1. SWE bench verified from 82.4 to 86, and tool decathlon from 43.2 to 71.2. Those are all large moves for a point release. Opus 4.8 still wins on the harder rows, and the blog doesn't hide it. Frontier bench 21.1 against 13.5. NL2 repo 69.7 against 59.5. Deep SWE 59 against 56. Humanities last exam without tools 49.8 against 44.6. Ornith takes wide search, claw eval, and SWE bench multilingual. So the real picture is a rough tie with a closed flagship on mainstream coding and a clear gap on the hardest reasoning and repository scale tasks. That's still remarkable for an MIT-licensed release, just not the clean sweep a benchmark chart can imply. 12 items sit in the collection, which is 3 models across 4 packagings, raw safe tensors for each size, GGUF builds for llama.cpp and Ollama, FP8 versions, NVFP4 versions, and a separate MLX collection for Apple Silicon. There's also a quantized 9 billion mobile variant the team says deploys on iPhone and Android. Worth noting, the 35 billion repo sits behind a contact info gate before you can download, while the other 2 don't. Hardware is where the size labels stop being abstract. The 9 billion model is around 19 gigabytes in BF16, so one card handles it, and the quantized GGUF gets it running on ordinary laptops through Ollama or LM Studio. The 35 billion MOE is roughly 70 gigabytes in BF16, with the official recipe suggesting 2 80-gigabyte cards to leave headroom for context. One person reported the Q4 build running comfortably on a 64-gigabyte M1 MacBook, which is the more relevant number for most people. The flagship is about 800 gigabytes, and its published launch command uses 8-way tensor parallelism, so think 8 H200s in a node. All 3 are reasoning models, which changes how you serve them. The assistant turn opens with a think block before the final answer, so you need the reasoning parser flag turned on, or that chain of thought lands in your message content and your agent chokes. The VLLM recipe uses reasoning parser Qwen 3 and tool call parser Qwen 3_XML, which surfaces the model's tool blocks as standard tool calls. Runtimes need to be recent too. Transformers 5.8.1 or newer, VLLM 0.19.1, SGLang 0.5.9, temperature 0.6 with top P 0.95 for real work, and 1.0 only if you're reproducing their benchmark numbers. Context is 262,000 tokens by default, with a documented path to roughly 1 million using yarn scaling at factor 4. They include a caveat I appreciate seeing written down, which is that open runtimes apply yarn statically to every request regardless of length, so leaving it on degrades quality slightly on normal prompts. Size the factor to your actual workload rather than maxing it out, and turn it off when you don't need it. Once it's serving, it's an OpenAI-compatible endpoint, so any coding CLI that accepts a base URL and an API key just works. The model cards walk through OpenCode, OpenClaw, Hermes, Ollama, llama.cpp, and Unsloth. Point base URL at localhost port 8000. Set the key to any non-empty string and go. That's the practical business case. Your code never leaves your network. Your cost is hardware instead of per-token billing, and you're not exposed to a vendor raising prices or retiring a model you built a pipeline around. Early hands-on reactions are split in a way that's worth hearing. One person running the 35B for web scraping said it matched Qwen 3.8-27B at much higher speed and a better quant, and was impressed. Another said it feels fast and wastes less time thinking, but seemed slightly worse than Qwen 3.6-35B specifically at coding. Somebody noticed it repeatedly claims to be Claude when asked what it is, which mostly means the team spent no effort on identity training. and one comment called benchmarks the BMI of model evaluation, useful for surveying a whole field, misleading for a one-to-one comparison. The skeptical reading is that a startup announcing a version of recursive self-improvement is a familiar move when there's a round to close. And that's fair. The counterweight is that deep SEBIA number, and the fact that automating curriculum design removes a real bottleneck since hand-curated training tasks stop teaching anything the moment a model outgrows them. Both readings can hold at once. Nobody has this on OpenRouter or a major inference provider yet, so independent benchmark numbers don't exist and won't for a bit. My suggestion is to skip the flagship, pull the 35 billion MOE, and run it against whatever you use now on your own tasks in your own harness. The 9 billion one is the other worth testing, mostly because a model that small-handling agentic tool calls at all changes what you can put on cheap hardware. Alright, so that's it from the video, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like this video and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.